Hello, welcome to Scrappy Loom Sewing. I'm JC Jewellen, and today I'm going to show you a technique that I like to call a frayed applique. And what it does is just add a little dimension to the edges of an applique. It would be a good applique to use on a child's quilt or an art quilt. Just adds a little whimsy to it, and it's really easy and it's lots of fun. So to get started, what you will need is just a few things. Some scissors, ideally snips, but I have mine in a bag that I use at work right now, so I'm just going to stick with these shears. These are Gingers, and they are not only pretty, they're wonderful. And I have a toothbrush, a clean one of course, and a pair of tweezers just in case. And you will need a applique shape, something simple. I drew this, just a quick little tulip, because it's a simple design. I like flowers. And then the tulip leaves. I made this out of freezer paper. Reynolds freezer paper. I use this for a lot of my appliques. So anyway, once you've got your shape cut out and you want to do something simple, something easy, not something real complicated to trace out. Once you've got your shape together, you are going to need 4 layers of fabric. I've got this greens for my leaves, and then I've got just some mixed prints for my tulip shape. And just a little secret, this is a technique that is great to get rid of some of your ugly prints, some of the prints that you look at and think, why did I ever buy that print? This is a good way to get rid of some of those because you don't see the bottom 3 layers. So you need the fabric there for the fluff, but it doesn't matter what they look like. The only one that's going to show is the top layer. So you need your 4 layers of fabric. I've got 4 here, different greens. And then I've got just some mixed prints for the flower portion of the applique. And you just need to have a piece large enough to encompass the shape. Once you have done that, got your shape cut out, you'll take your layers of fabric, line them up, and press your template shape to it. Making sure that you've got enough space around the edges to cut outside of this template shape a scant quarter of an inch. You want to leave a scant quarter of an inch of fabric around the shape. But you just use a hot iron to press this down, no steam, and it sticks right to it. Then I just take a couple of pins and put it in the fabric just to keep it from shifting when I take it to the sewing machine. Like that. And then do the same thing with the flower portion. Line your layers up. Make sure you've got enough around the edges to leave some fabric outside of the shape. About a scant quarter of an inch. And press it down. Then you just put a pin here and a pin here, or maybe one there even, just to hold it from shifting when you take it to the sewing machine. And once you take it to the sewing machine, what you're going to do is you're going to stitch right up against this template shape with a small stitch. I use like a 1.5 stitch length to go all the way around the edge of the template. And you do that both on the leaves and the flower or whatever design you're using. And you end up with something like this. And this here. This is my tulip. And you can see the back here where I've sewn around the shape. And I'm using a dark color so you can see it, but ideally you would use a color that matches your top fabric that blends in with this so the stitching doesn't show. And then once you've got this sewn together like that, you will take your scissors and you're going to cut like a scant quarter of an inch all the way around the edge of this shape. And you want to keep it as even as you can so that when you fray it, the fraying is even. And you just go all the way around the whole shape like this. And you do that all the way around both of your shapes. And you end up with a template, an applique that looks like this. Probably should have used a lighter fabric on here to show better what I'm doing so that the prints aren't blending in. Let me do this here just real quickly. So anyway, you'll end up with a shape like these two here. And you can just pull this off. And the tweezers are just in case some of the freezer paper gets stuck in the threads. You can just easily pull it out. It doesn't, if you follow your shape accurately, you don't have too much of a problem with this. But when you do get a little bit stuck in the threads, you can just easily pull it out with this without breaking your threads. So that's what that's for. Then after you pull your template shapes off, what you would do is take your snips, or your scissors in my case, and you're going to snip all the way around this shape as close to the stitching as you can get without cutting into it. About 1/8 of an inch apart. This is the hardest part to this process. And you do that all the way around the shape. If you cut into the thread a little bit, it's not that big of a deal because you're going to stitch on that same stitching line again. But anyway, you just go all the way around like that. Around your shape. About 1/8 of an inch apart. You do that on both of the appliques. Then you would take your applique shapes and you would put them on a background. I've got a 10-inch square of red here. And you would just put your flower shape on there wherever you want it. You put it to the side if you wanted to, a little bit. And then put your your leaves on the flower top. And what I do is I match this seam with the bottom here on that seam. And just lay it there like this. Then I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, pin it down a little bit around the edges, and then I'll take this to the sewing machine and I'll stitch right on top of this stitching line on both these shapes. So I'd do the flower first, and then I'd layer the leaves, and then I'd do the leaves all the way around. And then you end up with, ooh, burn myself, an applique similar to this. Now, this is already stitched down. You can see the stitching on the back there. So anyway, once you've got it stitched down, you've already got your edges fluffed, you would take a little bit of water and your toothbrush, wet your toothbrush, and then you'll just fluff this. All the way around. It's very similar to chenelling. That's basically what chenelling does. It's just not on the edges like this. It's decorative through the center. And I'm going to show an applique like that on a video here soon. So anyway, just go all the way around like this, fluffing it up, wetting your toothbrush as needed because the water helps to fluff it. Or you can do your whole project and throw it into the wash. Just kind of wet and spin it. And then throw it into the dryer, and the dryer will fluff it up for you. And then every time you wash it and dry it after that, it's going to fluff up a little more. So if you got the patience to wait, you could, until it needs a wash, you could do it that way. But this way you get to see it right now. And it's kind of fun. Especially if you had a stressful day. You can come home and just fluff up your applique and get some stress out. So anyway, just go around and around and around until you've got it fluffed up as much as you want to fluff it up. Now I just kind of go under the edges and brush back and forth, and that seems to fluff it up the fastest, in my opinion. And then just shake off the extra threads. And you see it's starting to fluff up there. And here's one that's been done, and it's already dried. And look how cute! Wouldn't that just be great on a child's quilt? Or on a traditional country style quilt. And if you wanted to, then you could add to that, maybe put a little butterfly outside here, or some little applique hearts out here. And you could either fray those or just use some, mix it with some traditional needle turn or turned edge applique. And that is And that is Frayed Applique. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know if anybody's done this before me or not, but that's what I'm coming up with, and that's what I'm referring to it as. And I want to show you some samples of some that have already been done. Just a few little samples. Here is another version of the same tulip design. Here is a flower, kind of a daisy type flower, I guess. These are just shapes that I just, created, just drew up. Something simple, but look how cute they turn out. And here's just a little simplified butterfly shape. I love my butterflies, flowers, and hearts. But that would be cute on a kid's quilt. And that is it. There you have it. That is Frayed Applique, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe. God bless. Bye-bye.